If you're passionate about raising plants but your dirt keeps sabotaging your efforts, I've got just what you need. Whether you're tending a tiny backyard plot, a veggie patch by the kitchen, elevated planters, pots on the deck, or a combo of indoor greenery and outdoor edibles, this applies to you. Perhaps you're the diligent type who checks packaging, grabs commercial feeds, waters religiously, and yet winds up with spindly shoots, droopy foliage, and ground that crumbles like powder instead of teeming with vitality. Sound like your story? You're in good company. Let me pose a question. When you dig your fingers into your garden earth, what's the sensation? Does it yield softly, full of depth and energy, or is it parched, compacted, and resistant? Have you shelled out cash for countless sacks of nutrients, dreaming this round would turn things around only to face the usual letdown? Drawing from decades handling backyard plots, field dirt, homemade compost, coverings, and organic boosts, I can assure you of this. Most troubled soils aren't just starved, they're dead, and that flips the script entirely. Grasp what vibrant soil truly craves, and you'll ditch the band-aids for a solid foundation that lets plants flourish independently. Right now I'm sharing an easy, budget-friendly recipe using common household items that serves as a microbial cue in the ground. In ideal setups, it pulls in earthworms from nearby areas within hours, kickstarting revival from the depths, ready to cut costs, garden wiser, and let the ecosystem handle the tough work. Stick around. To grasp why this technique flies under the radar for most folks, rewind to a key moment. 1939. In soil history, that year was a game changer. Traditionalists still nurtured breathing earth, but shifts toward synthetic farming were underway. Down in Brazil's Paraíba Valley, agronomist Helio Bra saw something extraordinary. He observed locals dousing chosen plots with a sugary brew that had fermented, and soon those spots swarmed with worms summoned from adjacent dirt. Meanwhile, in North America, independent groups relied on their own bio-tricks, eventually tied to Eli Yoder's techniques and the Amish wire approach. Varied regions, shared wisdom, nourish the soil's organisms, and they nourish your harvest. Then why did such simple, powerful know-how get shelved? Why did it slip from memory? Look to the post-World War II era. Pre-war, synthetic feeds were rare and pricey. Wartime saw massive plants churning out ammonium nitrate for bombs. Peace came, bomb needs vanished, but the facilities endured. Chem giants pivoted, rebranding those leftovers as bargain nitrogen boosts for growers. Simultaneously, wartime chemicals like DDT got hyped as ag saviors. Big Ag grasped a harsh reality. Thriving soil doesn't breed loyal buyers. Land buzzing with worms that regenerates? Reliance on store-bought stuff. Thus, time-tested organic practices, honed across ages, were dismissed as outdated, supplanted by speedy chem solutions that gradually erode the land. That's the truth, hidden since 1939. We didn't drop these ways for lack of results. We traded them for profits from easy dependency-creating alternatives. Once that clicks, the follow-up query hits home. Why are earthworms such a big deal that restoring them transforms your garden from the roots? Before unveiling the recipe, let's tackle a fundamental. Why chase more worms in your dirt? Many view them as bird snacks or fish lures, but soil builders know better. They're cornerstone players in a bountiful setup. Worm-free ground often signals trouble brewing. It might produce short-term, but below the surface, it's typically dense, air-poor, and microbially sparse. These critters function as nature's mini-tillers, tunneling paths that funnel air and moisture to plant roots. Miss those passages, and earth packs down. Roots starve, growth stalls. Their top perk. Post-meal magic, devouring rot and debris. They process it into castings, prime humus packed with root and bug-friendly nutrients. Result: smoother nutrient flow, improved texture, reliable nourishment. Savvy cultivators celebrate worm booms as proof the underground network is firing up. A thriving worm population in your garden leads to robust plant growth and superior yields with much less reliance on synthetic fertilizers, since the soil takes on more of the nourishment duties. These advantages aren't just evident in healthier plants, they enhance taste as well. Produce from vibrant, worm-filled dirt typically boasts improved texture, extended shelf life, and richer flavor. Ever notice how tomatoes from a vintage backyard plot had that unbeatable depth? A big reason lies underground. That's why I call wormless soil truly lifeless soil. Not for effect, but because worms signal a living ecosystem generating its own fertility internally. Grasping their function makes the follow-up straightforward. How do we summon them home? Enter what I term the 1939 protocol. Right off the bat, no, this isn't sorcery or old wives' tales. It's straightforward, refined biochemistry, aligned with nature's blueprint. Earthworms detect chemical cues in their surroundings. Out in nature, they don't roam randomly for meals. They zero in on hotspots by picking up on substances emitted as organic material starts decomposing. That's the core of our approach. By drenching the soil with this budget-friendly brew, we're crafting a biological lure that echoes the aroma of bustling breakdown and teeming microbes. The true trick isn't mere sweetness, it's velocity. Pairing molasses, loaded with intricate carbs and key minerals, with dry yeast, a live accelerator, sparks rapid fermentation. As it kicks off, heat builds, alcohol forms, and, crucially, a surge of carbon dioxide, or CO2, rises through the soil layers, grabbing the notice of underground dwellers. Worms are attuned to environmental shifts, particularly those hinting at food, water, and lively biology. That CO2 cloud expands from the application zone like an underground dinner gong. To worms, it screams opportunity. Prime conditions are brewing. Here's where the method shines brightest. Sugars first fuel the bacteria. Those bacteria explode in numbers, sheathing soil organics in digestible slime. Then worms arrive, drawn by the gas and microbial boom. We're not shoving them in. We're replicating the habitats they naturally chase. The elegance, lure the soil's top engineers by nurturing the tiniest ones first. Now for the recipe folks have anticipated. It's the classic blend veteran gardeners relied on to revive weary earth, using basics likely already in your pantry. And it barely dents the wallet for treating a sizable garden patch. Fill a 5-gallon bucket with fresh water. For city tap water, leave it uncovered overnight prior to adding ingredients. Chlorine hampers the microbes we're boosting. With water prepped, warm it to about 30 degrees to 35 degrees Celsius. Too scalding kills the critters. Too chilly slows the kickstart. Then, stir in 1 teaspoon unsulfured blackstrap molasses per liter of water. I favor molasses because it fuels the ferment beyond simple sugar, delivering extras like iron, potassium, and sulfur to amp up microbial enzymes and prolong the action. Next, toss in 1 teaspoon dry baking yeast plus ½ cup raw sugar. The sugar delivers quick microbial fuel, while yeast propels the brew ahead. They ignite it fast. For an extra punch, include a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar or a dash of cachaca. Some add spent coffee grounds to broaden the organic allure. The nitrogen and gentle acidity heighten appeal. Mix vigorously till dissolved. Park the bucket in a cozy, shady spot for 1 to 2 hours. You'll soon catch a robust, loamy scent and surface foam. That's proof it's buzzing and primed for the garden. With the activator humming, how you apply it is crucial. This is where eager gardeners often rush and squander potential. Never dump it on sun-baked soil at high noon. Intense sunlight and high temperatures can harm the fragile microbes we've carefully cultivated. Opt instead
For milder times like late afternoon, early evening, or daybreak, when the ground is cooler and those organisms can truly take root and proliferate. Pour your fizzing brew straight into the dirt near your plant's root areas. That's crucial. We're not nourishing the foliage or misting for superficial results. The goal is to let this elixir seep deep into the ground, allowing the microbes, sugars, and fermentation cues to permeate the soil layers and summon life from the depths below. After application, patience is key. The topsoil might seem unaltered at first.
Don't be misled. Earthworms thrive in the dark, beneath the surface, where moisture lingers and conditions stay steady. As night falls, those signals travel along hidden underground routes. If you venture out post-sunset, with a soft flashlight beam over the soil, you might spot initial hints. Tiny motions, slight undulations, barely noticeable disturbances. That's no illusion. It's the vital crew showing up. Come morning, a close inspection often reveals way more worm action than the previous day. In severely depleted soil, it could take nearer to 48 hours, but typical garden plots show changes within 24. Imagine the implications. An entire subterranean team, relocating, tirelessly aerating, enriching, and restoring your soil non-stop. No paychecks or gripes required. Yet here's where even well-meaning efforts can falter. The brew draws worms in, but mere appeal won't suffice. For them to stick around, your garden must offer a viable home. The mixture serves as the lure, suitable habitat, converts transients into residents. Once they arrive, safeguard their essential needs. Worms bolt if the soil turns scorching, parched, or poisoned. Bare, chemical-drenched earth sends them packing as swiftly as they arrived. Thus, the following measure is essential. Mulch the surface. Spread a thick covering of organic material, fallen leaves, straw, bark, or chips. This layer functions as a safeguarding cover, blocking heat, curbing moisture loss, retaining dampness, and providing a cooler, secure zone for worm travel. With the molasses blend, pulling them close and mulch fostering lasting stability, their numbers can self-perpetuate without constant interventions. In a thriving setup, settled worms don't just linger, they proliferate. They eat, breed, multiply, and steadily enhance the soil's vitality over time. A modest initial group expands rapidly with reliable water, nourishment, and cover. Here's another vital guideline: quit deep tilling. Established worms craft intricate tunnels over days or weeks, channeling air, water, and nutrients downward. A single aggressive swipe from a tiller or heavy hoe can obliterate their painstaking work in moments. To aerate if needed, wield a garden fork to lift delicately, avoiding a full inversion of the soil layers. Let the worms handle the tilling. They excel at it beyond any tool. Now, prior to delving into the profound principles undergirding this, heed this caution from someone passionate about not only plant growth, but soil's ecological harmony. Though 1939 revives lost farming insights, it also warns that not every soil dweller is benevolent. In that Baltimore, Maryland era, researchers pinpointed a destructive alternative: the jumping worm from the genus Amynthus, which ravages rather than enriches. This is critical, since potent attractants like this, molasses mix, don't just summon biology, they steer soil dwellers' migrations. Stay vigilant. Worms vary in function, and not all fit every garden narrative. We seek the helpful ones that transform compost to nutrients and organics to architecture. Allies like the red wiggler or deep-burrowing nightcrawler boost gardens by drawing fertility down, refining texture, and yielding that rich, friable earth true cultivators crave. Jumping worms, however, operate differently. These invasive surface dwellers have turned into a serious ecological threat in numerous areas. Rather than gradually enriching the earth, they devour the upper layer of organic material at an alarming rate, gobbling up the leaf litter that retains water, nourishes microorganisms, and shields the ground. The residue they leave resembles gritty coffee grounds, arid, crumbly, and poor at retaining moisture. Without that vital cover, erosion kicks in more readily, leaving the entire soil profile vulnerable. Spotting the difference starts with their actions. Unearth one, and if it whips around frantically, coiling and lashing like a mini serpent, that's a red flag. Helpful earthworms tend to be more composed and deliberate. Another giveaway is the jumping worm's creamy white clitellum, a sleek band encircling the body, unlike the darker, swollen saddle on most good worms. Spot any in your plot. Don't relocate them to compost heaps. Avoid sharing dirt and steer clear of dispersing them elsewhere. Extract them thoughtfully to halt their advance. Our goal is to welcome back the soil's architects, not the wreckers. Once you start scrutinizing the soil's inhabitants this intently, you're no longer merely planting. You're guarding the land itself, and that leads to the profound essence of this approach. This $2 molasses blend isn't merely a smart hack, it's a nudge toward a larger truth that today's farmers are often urged to overlook. Thriving soil arises from insight, not reliance. Consider the dominant farming model we've all adopted. First exhaust and bare the ground through relentless tilling. Then, the fix is pitched as endless purchases. Fertilizers for depleted nutrients, pesticides for disruptions, fungicides for outbreaks, and escalating supplies yearly to prop up a failing setup. It spirals into perpetual costs, meddling, and dependency. Sadly, plenty of growers accept this as standard. Yet the traditional path, rooted in heritage, rested on a contrasting principle: interpreting the terrain, embracing decomposition, honoring tiny life forms, safeguarding hydration, and partnering with nature's rhythms rather than battling them. Such knowledge isn't packaged in shiny containers or tied to logos, and it's yours forever once grasped. That's the power in basics like sugar, yeast, and molasses. Humble as they are, they signal a mindset revolution. Forget dominating the dirt with aggressive amendments. Instead, team up with the biology primed to generate richness. View the soil not as a blank vessel, but as a dynamic network that thrives on proper cues. When it awakens fully, gains extend past one bumper crop. It conserves water in dry spells, sheds excess during storms, shields crops from pressures, and delivers robust, well-rounded nourishment from the roots. You're no longer just raising produce or blooms. You're forging endurance, crafting humus-rich frameworks, and plenty that endure seasons and sustain the earth long-term. Here's the core takeaway to linger. A mere scoop of soil hides a vast secret realm. Too many were schooled to regard it as inert stuff, needing chemical prods, fixes, and dominance. True vitality sparks not in labs, but below, in the interplay of bacteria, decaying organics, water, roots, and the beings that recycle demise into vitality. Now, armed with cheap staples and some time, you can rouse that realm anew. Revive weary patches into hubs of activity, texture, and rebirth. Metamorphose your space into a haven of splendor, sustenance, and soil-born plenty. The ground still heeds. It rewards regard. It replies when we align with it, not oppose. So will you give it a go? Mix the brew, nourish the earth, and await the response from the depths. Enjoy your time in the garden.